and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom.
It doesn't matter to you if I do the version that's on the page, right? That's on your cue sheet?
Version of
Like the version of the prayers.
oh,
You don't-
the posters?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't know the difference.
Okay.
Not 9 out of
Fair
10
enough.
times. I mean, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to begin on page 142. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Let's turn to our neighbors and wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Let's continue with Hine Matov.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, יאללה יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. We turn to page 131, these words of newness that each of our songs, while we may know them, that we bring new life to them each and every time that we sing them. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash.
We now turn back at our prayer books to page 120 and 121. Kabbalat Panim, we welcome Shabbat with the lighting of candles. Out of an abundance of caution, this week, the cantor will be the one lighting the candles and doing Kiddush as we sort of limit some beam of traffic given our circumstances. But page 120, 121, let's all rise together.
I never knew how difficult this job was.
We throw in an extra challenge.
how we need this Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
On the next page, page 123, we'll continue with Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. We know it's going to have the vintage of Tuesday.
Yes. We can take our seats. We're on page 125 as we continue responsively in the English. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide.
Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life.
Let me learn to pause if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. We're on page 138 as we continue with Lecha Dodi. We'll be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. On the final verse, we'll rise together and face the door to greet the Sabbath bride.
Lecha dodi likrat kala yalala 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalala 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, ishmi anu el amiyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem ultiferet ve'litila, lecha dodi likrat kala yalala 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalala 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalala 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalala 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orechu mi'ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai ala kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam b'simcha u'b'tzohola toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
On the bottom of page 145. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. On the next page, the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach hamevorach leolam vaed. Hamevorach hamevorach leolam vaed.
Let's continue on page 149, at the top of the page. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Together, your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. On page 151, in the middle of the page. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. Together?
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love?
Then this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shoftecha uv'kumecha uv'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha למען תזכה kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim. Liod lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Amen.
In the middle of page 157, continue responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing at the shores of the sea. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. I die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum. I die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum. It rolls off the tongue. We're going to do that melody again. I thought it was one we might know a little bit better. But ya bye bye bim biddy bye, whichever syllables happen to come out, they're the perfect ones. Give it a try with me. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. I die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum. I die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. I die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum. Ya die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'edar b'kodesh. No ratihilot o sefelech, no ratihilot o sefelech. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. I die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum. I die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum. Ma'alechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'eli, anu ve'ameru, Adonai imloch leolam ba'ed. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. Ya bye bye bim biddy bye, ya ba 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 bim bum. I die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum. I die da die die die, ya ba 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 bim bum.
Let's turn to the next page, 160, as we ask God to prepare for us a shelter of peace to protect us from life's storms. Hashkivenu.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. The top of 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our ושמרו ואותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
On page 165. In an envelope marked personal, God addressed me a letter. In an envelope marked personal, I have given my answer. Let's rise together for the Amidah HaTefillah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot v'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'neihem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei kolim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umido melech, Melech memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol, Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalelu haselah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. We're at the top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. on page 175. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha be'ira na'avod. Then page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words. Together, for the awareness,
Soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks.
Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam.
Let's continue with a moment of silent prayer and reflection. We now turn to page 371 as our thoughts turn to those who are in need of healing. For those suffering from physical ailments, we ask God to bless them with comfort. For those suffering from anxiety, which I think are frankly a lot of us with this Delta variant, we ask that God send us as well healing and support during this time to ease our minds. We're going to continue in the middle of the page, 371, with Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Avotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We are thinking of and sending a refuah shlema to Evan Bin, Laura Carlos, John Conway, Mark Edelstein, Mickey Edelstein, Benjamin Edelstein, and Brian Edelstein, Danielle Heyman Feist, Linda Fine, Eric Fisk, Albert Gart, Bob Gold, Buddy Green, Vicky Hano, Kevin Harris, Lori Cattleman, Jerry Klein and Bonnie Brzezowski, Hank Corin, Wendy Sugarman Krosnoff, Stephen Levine, Dr. Sonia Linky, Michael Lynch, Elsa Mikosh, Dolores Munsick, John Parsonson, Ruth Polar, Jane Rifkin and Jess Rifkin, Don Rolander, Rhoda Ross, Liesl Schick, Michelle Schorsch, Bob Seiler, Stuart Solomon, Dr. Cindy Steinman, Pete Tanner, Michael Vereb, Marcia Weinberg, and Dr. Drew Weissman. If you'd like to mention the name of someone you are thinking of at this moment for a prayer for healing, please speak their name as my eyes meet yours.
Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. And Shabbat Shalom to everyone in internet land. Glad you can join us. As we are in the middle of the Olympics, we've been having a lot of conversation in my house about great Olympic moments. So Aria, my eldest, he loves to ask me, Dad, what's your favorite moment in the Olympics? What was the best thing you ever saw? And I think about Michael Phelps. I think about him winning 8 gold medals in 1 Olympics. That was pretty cool. I like to think about Olympic figure skater Sarah Hughes, Long Island's own, surprisingly winning gold in 2002 at the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. But usually my mind turns to 1996, Kerri Strug, the Magnificent Seven, the female gymnastics team. There was a lot of pressure on the women's gymnastic team that year for the USA to win gold. It had been a little while, and so they were facing off really against their strongest competition, the Russian gymnastic squad. So it all comes down, it's pretty close. It comes down to Kerri Strug and the vault. She has 2 attempts at it. Her first attempt, she runs, she sprints down towards the apparatus, she soars majestically and couldn't stick the landing. But worse, she clearly injures her leg, and she's limping off the mat in a lot of pain. Her coach, even on TV, you can sort of hear the coach yelling at her, to get up, to keep going, tough it out. We need another vault out of you. Come on, let's go. And so she does. She sort of gets up, grimacing, composes herself, and completes the vault, basically on one leg. And then she collapses to the floor. Her coaches come forward, help her off the mat, sort of carry her off. But she had done it. Carrie Strug had won gold for America, won gold for her team, and it was all a really exciting, emotional moment. And for many people, this was like the iconic moment of the Olympics. It was really exciting, it was amazing, it was heartwarming, and it was this iconic, powerful experience for everyone who viewed it. With that said, this idea came out of not only from this Olympics, but it sort of reinforced this idea that downplaying our own suffering, sort of plowing forward despite adversity, that's the true mark of a champion. You have to be tough, you have to be strong, you got to gut it out, play through the pain. If we think back, those of us who are sports fans, to some of our own teams, some of the people that we root for, we sometimes find these moments of athletes who we know were a little banged up, a little hurt, rub a little dirt on it, they go out there and they play and they perform, and those are the ones that we really lift up. These are the heroes, these are the champions of sport. And even in that same Olympics, because even though Carrie Strug gets a lot of the attention, we remember Dominique Moceanu, who was 14 years old. She was the youngest Olympian at that time on the squad. She was actually competing in that Olympics with a broken tibia. So she had a broken bone in her leg while she was competing. And then during one of her exercises on the balance beam, she slipped and her head crashed against the balance beam. And in that moment, you know what happened? Nothing. She didn't get any exam, no doctors came to check her out, and she was on the floor exercise just a few minutes later. And she has come out recently and said that was not really the best thing for her, and for her health. But she felt compelled to go out and perform and to do by her coaches. Now, this whole idea of what it means to play through pain, play through adversity, has been re-examined during this Olympics with Simone Biles. And Simone Biles withdrawing, taking herself out of competition this year. And so we had a lot of interviews with her, a lot of talk, that she wasn't really in a good mental place to compete. She didn't have her focus. And it's a very serious thing for a gymnast, as we're learning. The term is actually called the twisties, that when you are flipping around in the air, you have to sort of know which way is up. And in her mental state, she didn't have it. She didn't know which way was up or down. Her mind and body wasn't in sync. And when you do this, it's not only a matter of falling, it's a matter of falling really hard and in really different uncomfortable ways that could lead to very serious injury. And so she took herself out of the competition, said, "I'm out," and she cheered on her teammates. After this happened, and remember, Simone Biles is considered, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, gymnast in the world. She got a lot of criticism. She got a lot of heat for stepping out of the competition. People were saying, well, maybe she's a quitter, or was she as good as we all thought she was? Did she let her team and her country down? There's a lot of sort of vitriol, aimed at her. 24 years old, champion in sport, nothing really to prove. She has her resume already established, but she was getting a lot of criticism. This idea that the heroes are the ones who excel through adversity actually finds a foundation, a pretty solid foundation in religious thought. How many of us have ever heard the phrase, God doesn't give us more than we can handle, right? We've heard this phrase before, that no matter what is sort of thrown our way, God has given us the tools ourselves to move ahead, to plow forward, that we need to be able to meet our challenges, smilingly perhaps even, in the face of adversity, to keep on moving ahead, plowing forward, gutting it out, never taking that back step. This idea that suffering is essential in a way, that suffering builds character, that when we overcome whatever this adversity, this challenge is, it makes us who we are. It transforms us in some way. Even in our Torah portion this week, Parshat Akev, we read, now this is when Moses, the man who was slow of speech and slow of tongue, is speaking for like days straight, giving speeches to the Israelites all about their past journeying. So Moses says to the people, remember that long way that the eternal your God has made you travel in the wilderness the past 40 years. It's a lot of schlepping, 40 years. so that God might test you by hardship to learn what was in your hearts. That God is testing us through these 40 years, of causing us to suffer, giving us hardship to see what we're made of, to test our mettle in a way. And this is what we have this week in Deuteronomy, this idea of suffering perhaps even being a mark of righteousness, that if we suffer, it's profound in some way and it makes us better people. This is not to say, by the way, that we can't learn from suffering, of course. But do we need suffering in order to be better? Does God need to sort of afflict us for us to be righteous people, to be mensches, to learn sort of our way in the world? I had a teacher of mine said this is pretty rotten theology was her term for it. She didn't care for this idea that we needed it in a way. And there are other stories that tell us that perhaps it isn't the best idea to drill to this point that suffering is important to us, essential and vital, and that we're only heroic when we overcome our adversity unflinchingly. When we face it with, a cheery attitude, a smile on our face, 2 steps ahead, we keep marching forward, then maybe that isn't always the best way to think about our response to adversity. Maybe, just maybe, that when we suffer, God wants us to ask for help. God wants us to rely on each other, to teach us that we don't have to suffer alone. One of the greatest heroes, right, of the Bible is Moses, right? And Moses gets overwhelmed by all the struggles and problems that he has. And the advice that he gets is not, suck it up, Moses, come on, we got to get going here. Got a lot of wandering to do. No, he gets advice. And Jethro sort of tells him, his father-in-law, you got to get some help. You're going to ask some of your associates here to step up a little bit and help raise you up, because you're burning yourself out. You'll be no good to the people if you keep on acting this way. A prisoner, we learn in rabbinic Judaism, cannot free themselves from jail, meaning that someone else has to help us. She can hurt herself and also hurt the team, hurt the squad. By sitting back, she might have actually helped her team achieve the silver medal, this year. She showed, in my opinion, a lot of strength, a lot of character by saying no, understanding when it was too much. She had the weight of the world, she said, on her shoulders. And sometimes the best thing to do is to put it down, step back for a little bit, understanding that it's maybe not worth sacrificing our well-being. I think that she has shown us a different kind of champion, a different kind of courage. And I think that is actually something that should be lauded, and it should be congratulated, for showing us it's more than one way to be a champion. Because when we ignore our own pain, our own trauma, that's not healthy. Sometimes we have to admit to ourselves that the situation might be too big for us to handle on our own. That we have to take a step back from that project, that challenge situation, whatever it is, and ask for help. Because if we don't, we can harm ourselves and others in the process. We need to be able to internalize this value, that it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to say no, and it's also okay sometimes to not be okay. During these moments, as we learn from the Torah and we learn from Simone Biles, we have to take care of ourselves and look after our own well-being, because in this way we help ourselves and we can help others around us and help create a better world. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Let's turn to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, la'tekedu la'liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haaretz, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu kodeim, u'mishachavim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא,
Let's turn to page 597. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We were saddened to hear the news of the passing of Myron Pulfrey, the uncle of Joe and Heather Kaufman and great uncle to Nico Kaufman. We also are in the Shiva period for the memory of Robert Sheldon, my cousin, and Ralph Katz, a friend of mine back from Texas. We are in the Shloshim period for the memory of Shelley Foreman, the sister of Manny Ramey. And we also are in the Shloshim period for the memory of Lily Singer, mother of Elaine Feinberg, grandmother of Lynn Safriel, partner Yair, and great-grandmother to Rachel, Sarah, and Abigail. We are also observing the yurtzeit this week of Jacob Azarva, Martha Baker, Louis Baum, Bluma Beanstalk, Charlotte Bonner Corwin, Evelyn Cohn, Jules Cooper, Alan Bruce Fairstein, Mae Freeman, Paulette Gross, Martin Hess, Julia Hoffman, Deborah Jacobs, Marshall K. Kent, Sarah Kirby, Rhoda Leisner, Judith Lerner, Herman Joseph Mansfeld, Jack Messler, Ann Myers, Abraham Rosenzweig, Abraham Russick, Louis Schrift, Jeanette Schrift Schwartz, Lee DiGiovanni, Rachel Slamowitz, Dee Strumpf, Cecil Wagner, Lena Weissman, Joel Wertheimer, and Maddie Williams. Is there anyone else observing a yurtzeit, saying Kaddish for any reason? Please mention their names. Let's rise together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrachu tev yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'galav izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam l'omei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesh b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushvechata v'nechemata da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel, and all of the world. As together we say amen. Please be seated. It's now my pleasure to invite up our temple president, Nina Warshawski, for a few synagogue announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Cantor, Rabbi, thank you for this service. We do have a few events coming up. Even though it is summer, usually it's a lull, but we have a lot of stuff going on. If you heard your all call today, the robocall, we're having Havdalah on the beach tomorrow. If you want to come about 6 o'clock, bring a chair, maybe some food, hang out a little bit. We're going to have the service is going to start at 7. Then on Thursday, August 5th, we're trying something new. We're taking TBI off-site. We're going to a local brewery for TBI on tap. There's going to be a food vendor there for food for purchase. There's going to be a tour of the brewery. It's kind of just come back, reconnect with your TBI family. Then on August 20th, we're going to have what we formerly called Friday Night Live, where we get a bunch of musical guests. We'll join Cantor Orengel and Rabbi Lobel, and we'll have a festive, fun, high-energy Shabbat. I hope everyone comes to that. It's kind of a welcome home. A lot of kids are going back to school at that time, so it's just good to get together and to be together. Then we're going to have on August 28th Slichot Cineplex, which is a new iteration of Slichot. Come and there's going to be different events in different areas of the temple, and it's going to culminate with the service in the sanctuary where we change the Torah covers from what they have now to white for the high holidays. And then right around the corner, right after Labor Day, we have the high holidays. It's going to be very exciting. We have new prayer books coming, so that's going to be an interesting and new, innovative kind of service, and we're all looking forward to that. So I want to thank everybody who's participated in the Torah Circle this year. Thank you. And those of you who are part of our Life and Legacy program, I thank you for remembering Temple B'nai Israel into the future. And I always forget to thank my husband Keith for running the video. So all you guys out there, you see us because of Keith. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, one last thing. We are having a small oneg after. If you are new to Temple B'nai Israel today, please, please introduce yourself to myself, to Cantor, to Rabbi, or to any of the congregants. We'd love to meet you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shall we bless?
We shall bless.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.